to start. Appreciate everybody coming tonight. This is my second time, so I'm still not perfect at everything, and never will be. So just pardon me if I don't do something exactly right. Mr. Howard will correct me over here, make sure, and Kevin, make sure that we're all doing what we're supposed to do correct. But we do appreciate you coming tonight. If you will bow your heads, we've asked Pastor Rodney Short, if you will, to say a prayer for us tonight. He's from the Lee Street Church of God. Thank you, Mr. Short.
Thank you. Let us bow our heads, please. Our gracious and everlasting Father, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Lord, we ask you to touch our mayor, Mayor Boyd, and all city and county officials. We ask, Heavenly Father, to touch our law enforcers as well as our first responders of this great city of Darlington. Give them the wisdom, O Lord, to let them understand your ways, O Lord. For, O God, even though they were elected in these positions, O Lord, by the people, let them understand that they were selected by you, God. So that in every transaction, in every deed, O Lord, in every work, in every word, and every doing, will be judged by you one day, O Lord. Help us to understand, Heavenly Father, that their actions and their decisions weigh heavily upon your people. Because of their position you have given them, O Lord, let them understand, God, that this position of great authority comes great responsibility. And do not squander this awesome opportunity that you have allotted to all of us, but to use this as an opportunity, as a gift and time to show in these challenging times the greatness of your power. Allow, God, us to be able to see jobs created, building of homes, O Lord, and to rebuild families and communities, and to allow them, O God, to weave together a diversity of others as threads to show the manifestation of your omnipotent power and the visualization of what the kingdom of heaven is like, so that everyone, O Lord, shall benefit from the greatness of your power to love each other as you love all of us. In the mighty matchless name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Very good. Everybody stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We got the approval of the minutes from City Council from January 7th, 2020. Do I have a motion for approval?
I make the motion that we approve the minutes from City Council meeting on January 7th, 2020.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, if you will raise your hand. Motion carries. All right, number 5, report of standing committees, the Darlington Downtown Revitalization Association.
Yeah, meeting agenda.
Okay, approval, okay, sorry. Approval of meeting agenda for today.
I'll
Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make a motion that we approve the meeting agenda for Tuesday, February 11, 2020.
A second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, motion carries. All right, now, okay. Number 5, report of standing committees, Darlington Downtown Revitalization Association, Ms. Latham.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The DDRA presented its 2019 Member of the Year Award to Timmy and Nancy Huntley and the Darlington Country Club at the Chamber's annual banquet last week. Members saw the investment as an inspiring commitment to our town that gives them hope for our future. And we certainly appreciate all of the work that they did. And we also appreciate the Chamber for allowing us to present that award during their event. In terms of collaborations and partnerships, The DDRA will also be collaborating with Joe's Grill for its first Chili Championship and Car Show on Saturday, March 7th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Cook teams will vie for a championship title belt, and the proceeds will go to the Darlington Fire Department. Tasting wristbands can be purchased that morning at Joe's Grill for $5, and the people will choose the champion. Our regular lineup of events starts in April with the annual golf tournament on Wednesday, April 8th at Darlington Country Club, followed by the Taste of Darlington on Thursday, April 23rd at Darlington Raceway. We're still looking for golf teams, cook teams, and sponsors for these annual events. The DDRA board has committed to another partnership with the Community Broadcasters Group for a larger spring event on Saturday, June 6th at Darlington Raceway. The Darlington Family Fest from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. that day will include food trucks, craft beer and wine, vendors, live music by Felonious Funk, and a kids zone. Admission will be $5, and PDRTA will provide rides to the track from downtown and a few other locations free for those who want to ride. And the proceeds will be going towards our business incentive program. We will continue to have our Bringing Downtown Alive free concerts downtown as well. On Thursday, May 7th, we'll kick off the season with a karaoke party, and then continue with a race week party on Friday, September 4th, and a fall concert on Thursday, October 22nd. All of these events will be held on Liberty Lane and Pearl Street like they were last year. The DRA invites businesses to breakfast each month as well at 8 a.m. February 26th, as well as the last Wednesday of the month through October at Taki's Diner, for businesses to network, to learn about the DDRA's programs, and to give feedback for future projects. There is no cost to members and a nominal donation of $5 per person for all others for the meal. And these meetings continue through October. And if you're not a member, you certainly are welcome to join. We are open to businesses, individuals, civic groups, and churches. Members can give us a call or send us an email, and we will also feature your business news, employee recognitions, sales, new products, new hours, special events, all of that with people interested in Darlington, as well as TV stations, radio stations, and newspapers through our text and email news alert system. And so that reaches probably around 3,000 people at this point. Any questions? Thank you.
Can you idea how many food vendors are coming to the food truck event?
Our goal is to have 20 food trucks, and we've got space for more than that, obviously. We've already got 2 or 3 beer and wine folks, and then we'll have the Eastern Carolina Mustang Club. We'll be having a car show that day. It'll be along Pit Road, and then at some point during the day, all the cars will get to take, the old cars will get to take pace car laps. So it'll be kind of like a little mini parade around the track of old cars, if you like classic cars. And you've got flyers for all those events in your packet as well. And there's some flyers up here for the taste if anybody in the audience needs them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, the Greater Darlington Chamber of Commerce, Nancy Methodist.
Thank you, and thanks to all of you, new and experienced, for your service to our community. The Chamber just celebrated our annual awards and celebration on February the 6th at the Country Club, and as you heard, we collaborated with the DDRA to present a DDRA award to Nancy and Tammy Huntley. We also collaborated with the Garden Club, and they presented their Gardener of the Year award to Laura Burns. So it was a great event. We also this year had a transition in chairmanship and vice chairmanship. So we have a new chair of the board and a new vice chair of the board. So we're looking for lots of energy and welcome anybody to join us and be part of revitalizing. We are working on Freedom Fest. The details are being ironed out this week, and we'll get more information to you once we have determined all of that. But we're excited that we'll have a Family Fest in June and a Freedom Fest in July, and have lots of activities in Darlington. Thought you might want to know the recipients, the Darlington citizens who received awards the other night. Bobby Kilgo, Todd Hardy, Kelly Bird, Cole Davis of Mayo High School, the Veterans Memorial Park, Chief Jim Stone, who's a legacy, and Bobby James. Any questions?
Good.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Nancy. All right, we have 5 minutes for each person. If you would like to come up and speak, was Gwen Marcus.
Oh,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. Good evening, Mayor Boyd, City Manager Howard Garland, and City Council. I want to thank you for the opportunity to share my concerns with you. My name is Gwen Marcus, and I live on Reed Street. I come today, I'll skip that. My first concern is the mediocre service that we're receiving as residents of the city of Darlington. On several occasions, I had to call Howard Garland to resolve the trash problems and the unkept grass on the vacant lots on our block. I had, someone is constantly dumping trash in front of a vacant lot on the street. If you would consider a closed circuit monitor in front of it, you would catch who's doing it, because littering is a crime. The trash problems can lead to rodent problems, and I say this from my personal experience. A couple of years, well, several years ago, we had a neighbor, and she kept a lot of trash in her backyard. She had several cars that were parked in the back of the yard and trash, and we had big black rats in our yard. So with all of that, saying this, that I believe that when you're hoarding and you're keeping trash and you're keeping vacant cars, there's a possibility of a rodent infestation in the neighborhood. And I passed by several residents that have vacant cars in their backyard, and it looks like it's a garage, but it's not, it's their backyard. And I think something needs to be addressed regarding that, because I would hate to have to come out, walk my dog, and pass a rat. The city of Darlington charges $22.50 for sanitation per home. They charge a state capital fee of $1.50, a capital fee of $2, and a storm fee of $4, and that's what I'm being charged. I can't speak for anybody else. This is an additional $30 attached to my water bill. If you consider that 1,000 homes, and I know there's more than 1,000 homes in the city, the revenue collected would be $360,000 a year. But we know there are more homes than that. They only empty the green cans 4 times a month and the blue cans twice a month, and we get the leaf pickup seasonal. The manager made mention at the last meeting what the department will pick up. But what about the things that they don't pick up? Are they supposed to linger on the corners of our streets for months or years later? There was no mention of a time limit. My second concern is the care of the storm drain. My house is actually in front of the storm drain on Reed Street. I had to call and go to the DOT and ask them to cut the grass around the drain. If they would consider a regular maintenance schedule instead of every now and then, perhaps there shouldn't be the buildup of the waters that's happening on my block. And if we don't change the drainage system, sinkholes may soon develop. Lastly, do I have to continue calling our city manager and or our sanitation about the trash, or do they just pick it up? Do I have to keep calling and going to DOT about the grass around the drains?
there has to be accountability and responsibility for what's not getting done for our residents. We need to consider making some changes to the current ordinances so everyone in the city can benefit. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Quinn.
And what's your address? 103 Beach Street.
Your house is the house that had the 2 mattresses, the 3 mattresses in
No,
the
the one that was across the street, and thank you so much, Mayor, for the help that you gave me. I appreciate that.
I didn't know if that
And
was
the
your house.
video.
I didn't know if that was your house, I thought.
No, that wasn't mine, that was across the
I mean,
street.
it was across the street.
Yes, and thank
It
you
was on
again.
an empty lot.
Huh?
It was on an empty lot.
Well, it was actually, the
Like Baldwin.
girl, yeah, it was in between, and I appreciate, what you did for me.
And we will definitely look into all that.
Thank
That is on our list.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Frazier, you guys put down, and I'll call y'all up in just a few minutes. Mrs. Latham, Jane Latham.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Gloria, Howard, and also our distinguished counsel, Kevin. Mayor Boyd, you posted on Facebook, and I quote, "You, sir, referring to the Honorable Congressman Jim Clyburn, were an embarrassment to South Carolina last night. As a South Carolinian, I take exception to your Facebook post. Jim Clyburn, a native South Carolinian, a 2-time majority whip, who is currently serving his 14th term as our representative in the United States Congress, has been and is an honorable public servant, and never was, nor is he now, an embarrassment to me and other South Carolinians. You, however, embarrass me and many other citizens of our city, because you represent all of us as our mayor. Therefore, I respectfully request you apologize to Congressman Clyburn, to all the citizens of Darlington, and refrain from making these types of Facebook posts in the future. Your Facebook post goes viral. They don't stay within the limits of Darlington. They are seen throughout the world. I also request that this be entered as part of the public record. Thank you.
Ms. Latham, you were present when I believe Mayor Gloria Hines proposed, and we agreed that the 5-minute point that we have for citizens to address council was not to be utilized as a personal attack on any member of council, the mayor, or anyone of that nature. So I just didn't want to interrupt you until after you had spoken, but we had reached an agreement while Mayor Hines, Mayor Boyd was not part of that, but he may not have known, but that, and for everybody else, that's what we agreed would be how we would handle that. We would not use these 5-minute sessions for personal attacks on anyone. It appeared that it became a problem while, or sometimes it would become a problem during the last 4 years, and so we just made the statement we wouldn't do that. So I just bring that to everybody's attention.
With all due respect,
That's
Councilman, I did not see this as a personal attack. And Mayor, if you view this as a personal attack, I personally and sincerely apologize. I see this simply as a request. I get phone calls, folks, this is where we live. And what our elected officials say and you put out on Facebook affects all of us. So I saw this as a simple request. So if I have offended you in any way, truly that was not my intent. But my intent was to make a sincere request. Thank you.
All right. Number 7, unfinished business, Darlington multi-use trail bid. We got the 2 bids in last time. We're waiting on a 3rd bid. Evans Construction brought that in. I think Howard had given everybody that. 3rd bid. The, 1 bid came in at $33,800, I believe. And 1 bid came in at $10,100. And the bid that was at $17,000 had extra, $17,100 actually had extra stuff on it that was supposed to be scratched off. So really on that bid with Sturkey land clearing would just be the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things at the top where it says bridge, which is $86.50. He put on there if we wanted it sod and lighting and so forth, but we don't need none of that. So his bid is actually $86.50 for the same as what the other ones are bidding for.
Just correct, that's the first 4 totals. The brush
First 4, 1,
cutting,
2, 3, 4,
walk,
first
rock.
5 goes down to bridge, which says, I'm sorry, yeah, that bridge, yeah, take it, I'm sorry, first 4, bridge is on, because it's optional for bridge. The first 4 total would be $86.50.
Okay,
Thank you.
am I looking at what the Sturkey land clearing and demolition? I'm in the wrong thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it, is this?
$2,500, $2,400, $2,750, and $1,000 was his total, which would be $86.50 if I'm correct.
And the total being this 17?
No, the total would be $86.50. The $17,100 at the back would include if he did lighting, and we weren't asking for that. He just put that on there and said it would be easier to do while he was doing it if he wanted to add lighting and stuff, but we weren't asking for that at this time. I think we're going to try to get Duke Energy to actually put lights in.
Say that again now. Okay, I'm listening. This is, he's gonna do this in time periods.
Elaine, the one that you have in your hand, the Stuckey,
Yeah,
if you look at the first 4 totals, 2,500, 2,400,
Right.
2,750, and 1,000, that would be the total cost for using Stuckey Farms.
That's
Yes.
him. He's having to put a drain in over the ditch, which is the $1,000. The rock is $2,750. The cross timbers, the rotor ties, $2,400, and the clean the brush and debris around the outer edges of the trail, $2,500 to continue to clean throughout there. Which would totally be $86.50 on this.
Mayor, would the Carolina Grading and Excavation have any timbers?
His $10,100 included timbers and gravel. No, he didn't put a price in for cleaning. Yes, ma'am.
And this is for just that 1,400 feet?
Yes, ma'am. From the back of, starting at Cashel Street to, I think it ends at the end of Fountain Street around the back of the library.
So I went out and looked at that today. And that's an interesting section back there. So the section where there's a ditch, or there's gonna be a bridge over that
That's where the drain is.
section,
He get
so
an
he
option
gonna put a
for,
pipe?
yeah, he get the option for a bridge or a drain. The bridge would have been $1,600. A drain would be, he would
So
put
we
the $1,000 drain pipe in it and cover it up.
So we started out at approximately $10,000 for that section, right?
$86.50, yes, ma'am.
No, I mean at the last council meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
We less.
No, you're not, because by the time you put the bridge in, you gotta put the bridge over that section that's,
There won't be a bridge. That's including the drain. They'll put the drain pipe in there.
The drains put there, they'll put.
Instead of the bridge. I see.
So you
See,
still
now
put the
we-
gravel in
I'm
on
trying to read this.
Or if you put a bridge there, then eventually the bridge may deteriorate and have to be replaced.
So we're gonna put, you want the drain town instead of the bridge?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And then you're gonna put gravel or rocks or
Yes,
something?
ma'am. Right, yes, ma'am. Okay, any further discussion?
Do we have any kind of experience with any of these people that made these quotes?
I do with Sam Evans and I do with, Stuckey Demolition.
Favorable, I assume.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
So over on the right-hand side, where this thing falls off about 50 feet, we're not gonna fence that, there's not
That
gonna
would
be
be
a
a suggestion next to go
because
ahead and get that
that's
fenced in,
a-
yes, ma'am.
hazard.
Yes, ma'am, that would be suggested, go and get that fenced in.
I'm sure I could agree with you. We could do that in-house. You've seen over at the two parks we've done, our recreation department is able to put fencing in. So if that's a concern of yours, we could easily put a little white fence beside it, to block it off.
So if you got kids deciding to run through that area or play in that area and decide they're gonna go over how kids wander around, you don't think that's a hazard?
No, ma'am, not necessarily more than a hazard of walking by a stream or walking by any other trail in the country of the United States. Walk by many trails that have hazards.
I think that's a
as you
hazard,
walk
cause this
down.
thing fall off and no 30 feet into that hole down there.
I debate the feetage, but
Well, I mean,
we can fence it off if that's a concern of yours.
I think it need to be, something need to be done, cause that's a long drop for, considering for kids to run around in that area.
Where's Lee Andrews?
The county meeting will be here about
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's what I was, I thought that Lincoln did the same thing, didn't do it in the park,
Yeah.
put a fence up.
Would you like to put a couple $100 in there for fencing?
No,
What are we talking about?
it's over there behind, voters registration and the
Oh, behind,
section.
okay,
You need to walk over there and look at, you just need to walk it.
yeah, is that behind the Oak Haven? That's the only place I saw it.
Yeah, all that area back there.
So
Do we have a
part of that,
motion?
we put a little fence or something. We'll
Yes,
work with it.
You can get a fence up there, no problem. All right, do we have a motion for, the Darlington multi-use trail for the Stuckey Farms bid?
I think Stuckey Farms is the cheapest. It seems to be comparable to the Carolina grading. So I'd motion that we had set the Stuckey Farms bid of the first 4 items: the brush cutting and tree removal, walking boards, rock, and drain tile for $86.50.
Do we have a
A
second?
second.
Okay. All in favor? And then I'll raise your hand. It's unanimous. Motion carries. Okay. Thank you. All right, new business. Take just a second. I had promised that when I became mayor that I would donate my funds back, and please, by no means, I ask and beg of you, do I do this for public attention? The purpose of me doing this publicly is so that you can see where my money is going back to help people in Darlington. I don't really have a complete list of different things I would like to do, but one of the first things that we did, I don't think, she's still not here yet, is Patsy? Patsy's not here yet, but Mr. Frazier and Derek, y'all come up real quick. I don't have pictures or anything with me. I sent pictures out to y'all so y'all can see it. But, I've been here 55 years, and I know I look like I've been here 25, but 55 years. Taught karate for years, and I had never had a chance to meet Mr. Frazier, and I think he's been teaching here for 5 years now.
Yes, sir.
And this is Derek, right?
Yep.
Okay. And they've been teaching boxing, coaching here, and you've been in boxing for how long now?
Ever since I was 11 years old.
11 years old. That was what? How many years ago? A couple years ago?
Yeah, a couple years ago, yeah.
But I had the pleasure to go out few years back and watched one of the fights, and I said, you know, I didn't realize that it was even going on. So I've offered to try to announce it out in May. It's May 16th coming up. There's an
16th,
exhibition coming up, and they have a lot of people coming in. I'll let him kind of explain that real quick. But I had said that the money that I make, which I wish was a lot more, but my goal was not here to make any money. My goal was to put back into Darlington. And so they were the first recipients. And I gave them 6 bags that we had, 6 heavy bags, and then they were wanting a big mirror. I think you said Mr. Fraser looked really good, was wanting to see us. So I got a 7-foot by 10-foot mirror, put over in the city building. Which building's that called now?
It's A.W. Stanley Gym.
A.W. Stanley Gym. And so if you go over by the pool there, they have that area over there, and they have it set up really nice for the people to train. And my understanding is you don't charge for the students to train, right?
No, I don't charge anything, but USA Boxing charge $70 a year, which that covered the insurance.
Insurance and stuff, right? They have to have insurance and all. So, but again, it's to help the children out, and I know you got some adults and all that are training too, like some of the officers and all. So again, I'll let you kind of explain what you do. And we'd like to try to announce it, and you're welcome to go out there and watch one night when they have stuff going on. And again, May 16th, we'll drive the truck around and try to get some good advertisement for them to announce that. But we wanted to let you know that they got a mirror. Mrs. Hathcock is not here tonight, and she got mirrors also. Her mirrors were broke in the rec department over there. And my understanding is she has been teaching close to 60 years.
Over 60 years.
60 years. And so in the Darlington area here, and had how many years at the rec department?
Over 60 years.
At the rec department?
Yes.
Okay. So her mirrors were broken in 4 or 5 different places, with kids playing ball and all over there. So I took the other part of my money to replace that for January and February. So January, February month's gone. And so plus a little bit more. So I got pictures of that we'll post out on my Facebook page for people to see. And anything that you'd like to tell about?
Yes. Good evening. On May 16th is Showdown in PD 5. This is the 4th event that we are having here in Darlington. We got a special guest coming in. It's the WBA heavyweight champion, Ray Mercy. He also was the 1988 gold medal winner. He won the Olympics. He knocked everyone out in the Olympics, even the coolman. So he'll be coming in that Thursday on May 15th. And we'll be leaving on May 17th. Like I say, I have over 16 students. I don't charge anything. I just want to work with the kids, keep the young kids off the street, give them something to do. I'm very strict in my training. If they don't do good in school, they will not train. So that's one of the things that I have. I like y'all's support coming in for May 16th to come and support from around Boston. Thank you.
What time is the event?
The event started at 4 o'clock. Doors open at 3.
At AW?
Yeah.
General admission is $10. We have VIPs, $15. We also have tables that are set up ringside that we're selling. $500 a table, which includes 6 seats. You have to have your wristband on, your lanyard on for the seats. That includes catering for the evening. Bizzles is going to cater it in Hartsville. They're going to come to our catered events. You'll have first up to a photo op with Ray Mercer. He's going to do a photo op for the general public, but the VIP will go first. This isn't just Larry Frazier. This is Hall of Fame boxer Larry Frazier. This man has dedicated his life to the sport of boxing, to helping children. I myself I've been with him 8 months now. This man is a mentor. He's way more than a boxing coach. Boxing is just one of the perks that this man offers to this community. We have little girls in there that are 8 years old training now. And myself, I'm 43 years old, and he's trained me. We have fights coming up this weekend. Next weekend we're going to the South Carolina Golden Gloves. We're taking 4 boxers to that. We have another tournament coming up in March. We're trying to do one in every month up until May. So y'all please come out and support us. We have just a little small training gym right behind the stand. It's in the men's locker room. And Mr. Boyd, Mayor Boyd, is been kind enough to give us these mirrors that are 7 feet tall and 10 feet long, which is about half of our gym. And it was actually supposed to be a surprise to Mr. Frazier. It was going to be because he's been aggravating me about wanting mirrors, so I got it with Mr. Boyd to where he could get it, and we got it approved and got him in there. And, he went in there and saw him, and he called me. He said, "I done got the mirrors cleaned up." So. But he's a Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine. So. But we would love to you guys support and just let the community know who we are and what we're about.
Where is the gym? I mean, where is this?
It's in the Arthur W. Stanley, you know,
okay.
the swimming pool there.
So that's, I thought you were saying something else.
No, that big
Okay.
It's in the back, it's in the men's locker room of that gym. And our fight will be at the Arthur Stanley gym. We set up a ring. The guy from North Carolina is gracious enough to let us use his ring. The rings are expensive. Boxing is expensive. Just a pair of boxing gloves is $60. So we're all a non-profit. Everything is donated. We don't ask for money, but we gladly accept put to the board. So thank you for your time. Thank y'all for your time.
And what a lot of people don't realize is my 30-something years of martial arts is the same as your boxing. As we talked earlier, it's not about fighting. There's been many a times that if I hadn't had the martial arts training that I have, I'd probably be in jail or in a fight and killed, dead, shot, something for not being able to control my temper. But by being able to learn to control your body, control your temper, is what you're taught. So you're not taught to fight. They get out, they fight, they hit each other, they get through, they say thank you, and they love on each other and have a good time. Same thing in martial arts is there to learn to take a hit and give a hit. And so that way you learn to respect each other in a proper way. This is what they're being taught, and I appreciate you doing that for the community.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Ms. Halcott in? Ms. Halcott whenever comes.
She's still at dance.
Okay. Well, you have to stop by and see her studio. See the mirrors in there. We appreciate that. Ricky's Glass put those up for me. Appreciate that. Okay. All right, new business, Part B, PD Council of Government, Lindsay Privet. And she'll also waive up approval of engineer of the EDA, RIA, sewer lift station grant.
Do you want me to discuss that first? That'd be easier. Or do you just want me to pass that over?
Does it matter which one?
The agenda item says.
Go ahead and do the grant.
Okay. All right, so thank you for having me. Appreciate the opportunity to come up and speak to you all. I am here to reintroduce you to the PD Council of Governments because I have met several of y'all individually, but not as a group, so thank you for having me here. I'm just here to explain the grant portion of what we do. We have several services that we offer to the 6-county PD region, but one of the ones that I do is grant administration, so I'm just here to explain that to you. We're located on Highway 52, right near the farmer's market and Tech, so not far away, 10 minutes. We cover Florence, Darlington, Dillon, Chesterfield, Marion, and Marlborough counties. And one of the reasons that we exist is to help cities and counties to supplement what you may not have the capacity to hire staff full-time to do things that you don't need people on staff all the time for, things like writing a grant, administering a grant that would, cost a fortune to have somebody on staff for that you may not need all the time consistently. So we do that for all 6 of our counties. We're funded by the county governments and also through federal and state grants. So that's how we operate. The 2 grant programs that we primarily focus on are community development block grants. It's a state grant. CDBG is the acronym. That comes around twice a year. And the focus of that grant is to help benefit low and moderate income people, to help revitalize neighborhoods, to clean up downtowns that have issues with dilapidated buildings, things that have, a lot of downtowns have had tenants for years and years and years, and then they leave, and you've got space that needs to be cleaned up, and you just want to revitalize things. So those are, that's the revitalization that CDBG does, and then they also focus on infrastructure improvements, water, sewer. some minor road work. And I know y'all are familiar with that. Y'all have had several CDBG grants in the past. I have not done CDBG for several years, and I'm over it now, so that's why I'm mentioning that as if I haven't worked with you guys. I know y'all are familiar with it, but that's what we do. But also, I have also been doing Economic Development Administration grants. That is federal. Y'all are currently a recipient of an EDA grant. Those typically are slightly larger awards. Usually you get an award like that for if you have an industry that's coming into town or that's expanding. EDA is focused on job creation and investment. And so there'll be something like, an example would be Harbor Freight Tools in Dillon County was expanding. They could not accommodate all the extra truck traffic they were going to have with their expansion, and so they called the county called us. We wrote a grant that said, dear federal government, we need $2 million to build a road so that Harbor Freight can hire this many more people and invest this many millions of dollars into their operations. So what we do, we write the grant, we administer it, we oversee it. There's a lot of paperwork that comes along with grants. So we deal with all that so that y'all don't have to. And then just make sure everything's run properly. The county now has a road. We finished up the grant, and we're back at our office. So that's the type of thing we do. Like I said, we're funded through federal, state grants, and our counties. So we have 2 planning grants that fund our grant writing operations. We don't charge anything for writing our grants. We have something that funds us on that, so it doesn't cost anything to anybody. If a town wants to put in a grant with us, we talk about what are the best ways to approach it. What's your project? Is this the right fit for this project? Maybe we should try another avenue. So we, talk a lot about what's the best game plan for this. Then we'll sit down and actually go through all the steps of, are there public hearings that have to be done in order to submit the grant? What type of research has to be done? A lot of our CDBG grants require income surveys, which is actually going door to door in specific neighborhoods and knocking on the door and saying, I'm sorry you don't know me, but can you tell me how much money I make? And that can be, awkward and odd. And so that's something that we help with too. So we do all those steps, write the grant, submit it, and then if it's funded, fantastic, you have a grant and we help you see it through start to finish. If it's not funded, we just say, that's terrible, we'll try harder next time, let's figure out what happened, but it doesn't cost you anything, you're not out of any money. And we just go back to the drawing board and figure out how we can do a better job or what was the issue with it. So the way we actually, because I understand nothing is free, the way we actually do get paid once the grant is awarded is there's a portion of the award in there that comes to us to pay for our services. CDBG grants, as y'all know, have a 10% match for your award. So the city would have to either come up with 10% or find another source. There are lots of grants that work together. Right now y'all have, with the EDA grant that I mentioned, you have a Rural Infrastructure Authority grant, which is acting as your match for that. So CDBG grants, 10% of your award is your match. EDA grants, it's 20%. And those, like I said, are usually much larger grants. And so, and they also are a lot longer in the making, so we usually talk a lot longer about them and really have to plan out where the match funding is going to come from. But that's 20%, so it's slightly higher. But anyway, those are the 2 types of grants that we do. We are just down the road, and we are here to work for you guys. So just want to introduce myself to everybody at once, and thank you for your time. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about it or explain anything further, and I'm always available to meet in person.
Those are the only 2 that y'all currently write?
Those are currently the only 2 we write. We will, because we work in lots of different areas, we are aware of lots of different grants, and we can usually talk to you about, well, Bennettsville used this and it worked really well, and kind of point you in the direction of how to go after other grants. Those are the 2 primary ones we do because they come with administrative money, so we can write in a line to pay for us to do the work of it. We do other things for set fees, so I'm sure we can have that conversation with our director about what else we can do, but typically we just do those 2 grants.
Okay.
With regards to the matching, or the 10% or the 20%, and talking about where it comes from, can it be the private sector? Does it matter?
It can come from,
Stipulations.
yes, it can come from anywhere except you cannot match federal dollars with federal dollars.
Okay.
Okay, any further questions? Okay, thank you, Lindsay. Okay.
Thank you.
On C, the approval engineer for EDA, RIA sewer lift stations grant.
Would you just like me to read the recommendation? Okay. All right, on January 3rd, 2020, the PD Council of Governments, on behalf of Darlington City, posted a request for proposals for firms to perform design engineering, permitting, and construction administration for upgrading 4 primary sewer pump stations in the South Darlington area. 19 firms requested bid packages. 2 firms requested site visits to the project site. 1 visit was conducted by Lindsay Privet and 1 was conducted by Howard Garland. Neither firm that visited submitted a proposal. 2 sealed proposals were received during the time period the RFP was advertised. The bids were opened on February 3rd, 2020 at 10 a.m. at the City of Darlington Courthouse. A review committee comprised of 1 city council member and 3 city staff reviewed and rated the 2 proposals using the attached scoring criteria. Lindsay Privet tallied the score sheets and determined that Davis and Brown received the highest score. Pending EDA approval, the PD Regional Council of Governments recommends that a contract for engineering design, permitting, and construction administration be awarded to Davis and Brown for $138,000.
I can mention that the Can Engineering was the other proposal. Their bid for basic engineering services was $163,500. So that's a difference of $25,500 between the 2.
Make a motion on that, correct?
What we have are the engineering costs, that's what we would be approving tonight.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And it does have to be approved by EDA before the city can officially enter into any contract.
And you would be handling that approval?
Yes, sir.
So do we need to say anything or do anything?
Need to make a motion?
Any motion, I'll make a motion that we approve the proposal by Davis and Brown Engineering on the South Darlington pump stations for an engineering cost of $138,000.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Lindsay. All right, new business D, United States Census Bureau presentation, Ron Williams.
I can speak on it briefly. Ron Williams made a presentation to Darlington County last week at the county council meeting about Darlington County being undercounted in the 2010 census. And everyone, most folks on council know that our population in Darlington City has decreased from around 8,000 in 1980 to just above 6,000 in 2020. Our population in 2010 was 6,289. And so, after having conversations with the county administrator, Charles Stewart, and Mr. Williams, the county has put together a complete count committee, which is gonna come up with some strategies to make sure that everyone's counted in Darlington County and the city of Darlington and other municipalities in Darlington County. The county has asked for 1 rep from City of Darlington to serve on this committee. They'll be meeting March the 4th at 10 a.m. in the library on North Main Street. Is there anyone from City Council that would like to volunteer for this meeting? This is the Darlington County Complete Count Committee for the 2020 census, and that meeting is March the 4th. It's a Wednesday at 10 a.m. at the Darlington County Library. Any volunteer? Very good. I'll forward your name, Mr. Brown. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard.
I'll be there. I'll come in.
All right, very good, thank you, Howard, both Howards. All right, new business, E, the first reading ordinance 2020-01, property purchase Highway 151, Olin Curvin, 126-00-02-063, 116 acres for $600,000 for the ball fields. Yes, sir, Mr. Milling.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to offer an amendment to the ordinance on the first reading. When we entered into the option, we had certain contingencies that were part of our option with Mr. Kirby that are not present in the ordinance, and I just think it would be best for the continuity to have those same contingencies to be a part of the first reading of the ordinance.
That's where the property be a clear title.
No, sir, that we have the set, we're pretty good, sure we got it, but that we
Right,
have the
right.
70
So the
acres,
three
that
things.
we'd be able to annex those types of things.
Yes, sir. And the 70 acres has been looked at by Ryan Magnus as being 70+ acres there. The clear title again will be for sure by Kevin.
And I would like for us also to be able to have the language in there that at this time anyhow, that we be able to negotiate with the 3 intervening property owners so that we can have this property annexed into the city of Darlington.
As in which pieces?
Sir?
As in which pieces?
Well, we were negotiating with NASCAR, Darlington County,
Yes, sir.
and the Ramsey family
Yes,
to get access across their property, either a donation of certain land or an easement, et cetera, probably a donation, or very low cost, so that we could annex all of those properties so that the 111 acres that we were purchasing from Mr. Kirby could be, become a part of the city.
Yes, sir. And we've, me and Mr. Etheridge have spoke with all 3. Kevin, would you like to speak on that?
Yes, we've spoken with, primarily with the county at this point, Judge, and not to go too far into negotiations, but
I just think at this time it would be good to have that same language as a part
Yes,
of the ordinance. If we want to back off at some point, we can back off at some point. But that's the ordinance, and just as an aside, I'd like for us to consider asking Ben Ziegler, who was our bond counsel for the hospitality bond, to come and make a presentation to us so that we have a clear understanding as to what we would be able to use funds for if we annex it into the city, and what restrictions may exist if we just took it and purchased it, but it were not annexed into it, so that anytime we make that final decision, if we have to, we've got a clear understanding.
All right, good.
Okay, so what you're asking is that we include in this ordinance, besides the purchase of the property, but the conditions or the arrangements regarding the other 2 properties?
Other 3 properties.
Other 3 properties. Okay, that's, what are the 3? I got the.
We're gonna have to go across NASCAR, the county property and the Ramsey property.
Okay, which part is county? I mean, I thought the
Immediately
purchase
adjacent
is
to us.
all.
The county owns a block of land next to the 111 acres. The Ramsey family owns a block of land between the county
Yes.
property and the racetrack, and then NASCAR owns it.
So at this point, okay, because I was thinking that Kirby property, all that was in the county, but what you're saying, it's the separate piece that's just owned by
It is in
the
the
county.
But if what I am proposing is the same language that was in the option, that we be able to annex the Kirby property by getting property belonging currently to NASCAR County and Ramsey family, so that we can have all those strips of land annexed into the city as well as the 111 acres belonging to Kirby, so that we have a piece of property that is in the city limits and not simply owned by the city, outside of the city limits.
And Judge, my understanding is you're talking about the verbiage.
Sir?
You're talking about the verbiage in here, correct?
Yes, yes, sir. Just as the verbiage that we put into the option into the ordinance.
Right, okay, definitely.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Assuming Ben Ziegler comes and suggests that whether the property is in the city or out of the city, there's no development issues minus the accommodations tax, then would your objection still be there if we couldn't
I
get the
think
property
I think
into the
the
city?
thing we do is we have the same language in the
I got no
ordinance
problem.
now. And then if we get to the second reading on it, and Mr. Ziegler has told us what we can or cannot do with the money vis-a-vis, whether it's annexed or unannexed, that we at least have a full understanding and that we can act appropriately as to whether we determine, council determines whether or not it wants to buy it, even if we can't annex it, or only wants to buy it if we can annex it.
Understood. I'm interested in your interest. Do you care if it's in the city versus out of the city? Obviously, we all want it in
Yeah.
the city. But you
Yeah, I
would
have
not.
an interest in it being in the city, and I want to know what Mr. Ziegler says about it, the use of the money generated from it if it's not in the city. And then we know what we're dealing with.
Okay, I just thought we had kind of mentioned that before.
That's what he's saying, is just he wants to add that,
I
the
just
same that
wanna-
we did, just reread this.
I just want to make
It
this
wasn't timed
ordinance
out. It wasn't
consistent
timed
with
out.
the option.
Okay, any further discussion?
I would need a second to my motion to amend the ordinance that was presented to us in the package.
Do we have all in favor of the amending the ordinance to add the 3 agenda items to it? All in favor for amending the ordinance? Okay. All right, do I have someone make a motion for accepting it as amended?
Okay, I thought that's what we were doing.
Do we have to do a second one?
We did it.
Okay. We, I didn't know if we had to two. Okay, good. All right, and, so all in favor, everybody's in favor, right?
Right.
Okay, so motion
It's
carried.
passed.
Thank you. All right, new, business, part G, naming of the municipal courtroom. Mr. Milling, if you will go into detail with this.
Thank you, Mayor Boyd, members of council. We had the opportunity to have Daniel B. Causey III serve as the municipal judge for the city of Darlington for a period of 30 years. Dan graduated from law school in 1971, and he had done some banking, and then he went back to law school. He had graduated from the Citadel. When he first came back here, he practiced for a period of time with the late Senator Spot Mozingo. I had the good pleasure of practicing with him for 40 plus years. He was a zealous advocate for his clients. He was a worthy opponent. He handled the business of the city, as I said, for a period of 30 years. He was faithful in his attendance to his duties. He loved the city of Darlington, always wanted to do what was best for it. There is a quotation from Scripture that's in the courtroom, the main courtroom in courthouse in Florence. And I hope we don't have any pastors here because I may end up misquoting Scripture. But I think it's Micah 3:6 that says, "What does the Lord require of man but to love mercy, do justice, and walk humbly with his God?" And I think that's what Dan tried to fulfill during his 30 years as the city judge. So I would make a motion that the city honor his memory by naming this courtroom as the Daniel B. Causey III courtroom.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Motion carries. Okay, H, Okay, boards, commission appointments, Lisa Watt.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Some of this was in your packet. It was not. We have several board seats that are available. You all make those nominations, and there's a description here of those board seats that are available. Historic Landmark Commission has 2 seats. Beautification Board has 1 seat. Planning Commission has 3 seats available, and the Tree Board has 1 seat. In your packet, the first page, and we have to take these individually, Ms. Sarah Falah would like to serve on the Tree Board. This board meets quarterly. The next meeting is actually coming up at the end of this month, February 24th. She's a retired educator who loves trees and wants to see more trees planted, more of the right trees planted in the right place. She actually had one of the larger Darlington oaks in front of her yard had to be taken down recently. And I feel she would be a good addition to the tree board.
So we need a motion for her.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve Ms. Sarah Fallon was to fill the 1 seat on the tree board.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? Unanimous vote for Ms. Sarah Fallon to be on the tree board. See?
The next person in your packet, Mr. Gardner brought to my attention these next 2. Mr. Michael Sprott, who's previously on the Planning Commission for the county. And you have appointed him to the Board of Zoning Appeals, but he would like to move to the Planning Commission Board. Since we have our comprehensive plan coming up in the next year or 2, his knowledge and background on that would be very valuable to the commission. He also has 40 years of engineering experience, which can't hurt.
In spite of what I know about him, I'll make a motion that he be appointed to the planning commission.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, unanimous. Motion carries. Thank you.
And the last person Mr. Gardner brought to me was Ms. Rhonda Brown. She served on the Planning Commission as the chair previously and wants to come back to it.
Does not identify which board she wants to serve on. What is it?
Planning.
Planning.
She wants to go back to the Planning Commission. She's currently on the Beautification Board.
She's moving.
Or no, and the Tree Board.
I'll motion that we approve Rhonda Brown for the planning commission.
Second it.
All in favor?
So we still have 1 more for that one.
We still have 1 more for the Planning Commission. There's still 1 seat now on the Board of Zoning Appeals, which is very important that we fill because there are only 5 seats, there are no alternates, and we have to have a quorum. And it's part of the legal process of appeals for folks. So it is very important that we have that seat filled. And then, of course, we have 2 seats on the Historic Landmark Commission and 1 on the Beautification Board that's still open. And if anybody has any questions about those, they can call my office. I can kind of give them an idea of when those meetings are. Give them the application is online, but if they need me to send it to them by mail or something.
I'm not that very interrupt, but if we have somebody that might be interested in that, do we just call you directly?
You can, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, receive as information, the department heads, we have them all come up to speak last time. This time, if you have anything that you'd like to ask any of the department heads.
Chief Washington.
Okay. Is Chief Washington here?
Sorry, sir.
No, not a problem at all. Yes, sir. Hey, good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yes, sir.
In looking at your packet, you've got great descriptives of how you have speeding tickets, seatbelt tickets of the sort, and I apologize if my verbiage is wrong, but car break-ins, shootings, and violent crimes, is there any way we can start getting notified about those in the same manner?
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure. The only thing that we've done, we basically gave you all the same information that my predecessor gave. So we followed suit. Whatever information he was providing to you all is the same information that we were providing.
Great, thank you.
But that's no issue. Anything else while we're here?
No, sir.
All right, very good. Now, so we'll know. What do you all want to be reported?
I'd love to know about car break-ins, shootings, violent crimes. Those are my main interests as of now.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Anyone else? All right, thank you all.
Thank you, Chief.
Sure.
I'd like to ask, Mr. Kinsall, if you could come up for just 1 second. I'll tell you, thank you for giving me the breakdown on the fire hydrants. I've asked for that last time. I want to tell you, thank you, appreciate that. Was going to ask about the issue down here in the parking lot, where the grease had been poured in and so forth. Is that all been taken care of? I mean, was that the same line that the gas line was drilled through also?
Yeah.
So is that why we actually drug through that to find out?
Well, it was blocking, and we knew it was either broke or whatever. When they got out near the end of it, they found that years ago they had drilled a gas line through the center, which would probably contribute a lot to the problem. But yeah, it's been replaced all the way out to the street.
Is there any recourse years later in these situations?
Probably not, because back then there was no 811 locate probably.
Okay.
We're working on recourse on one on Orange Street.
Is there any recourse before the grease in the trap down the drain?
Yeah, Bill, that's against the ordinance. We closed them down into the property. They fixed their problem. Yeah, supposedly something oil fixed internal before we opened up. Well, we were working on the drain house.
All right, and on the fire hydrants, you said there's one broken, the kid is ordered on North Main.
Yeah. So that one for
We're
North
still
Main.
waiting on the one on Broad Street in Hampton, Urban.
The one on Hampton, it works, it just is aggravating to cut off. It'll drip a while on it.
Any updates on the one on Broad Street?
No, we haven't done, we can't get out the sewer business the last month. That East Broad Street?
Yes.
Yeah, they're at hardware.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you.
Good.
If you would check Wood Creek again where you made the cut and put some crush in there or something.
Yeah, we behind, they kind of said they can't
I
get out the
noticed
sewer.
that the cones are still up,
Yeah.
and some of that has had some washout to it.
Yeah, they're working down in Woods on Cotton Street now, been there 3 days. Yes, ma'am.
So what is being done about the raw sewage that's pumping out up on Farm Street?
Well, it's not pumping out right
Again,
now.
for the last 15 years.
Yeah. Unfortunately, when we did that last grant over there was not enough homes on Farm Street to qualify Farm Street to be part of that grant project. And so that would be the only way to do it. Whether anything would change on it now, it would qualify that, and also we need to cross, everything comes out to South Main Street and crosses South Main Street, going towards Dixie Cut is where the sewer flows going to West Tripoli. They will not cover, CDBG will not cover South Main Street because they said it's commercial and not enough low to moderate income. So unless we can find some other grant facility, then it's gonna be down to finding funding to do, just like a lot of the other work, like fire hydrant work, it's just gonna have to be funded some kind of way. But that one street, Farm Street was in it, but then when they did the income surveys, it was not enough. And they took Farm Street out of it.
So with the raw sewage still coming out on Farm Street, is this something that need to be reported every time it happens to DA?
If it's a
Because it's a
certain
hazard,
amount,
I mean-
if it rains 3 to 5 inches, there's so much infiltration, those sewers are so bad, and the manholes flood. If water gets on top of those manholes, it's going in the manhole. As that area, the storm drainage and the sewer's bad, and you combine them and you get rainwater in the sewer.
So you're saying the storm drain, the sewer and the water lines are running together?
They're not supposed to, but if you got rain on the road and you got a manhole underwater, the rainwater's gonna run in the sewer.
So,
Or if this, and what we've seen a lot of it, probably what we found on Reed Street and other areas, the top of the sewer lines are broken. And so when the rain comes down through the dirt, it goes into the sewer line.
so are we reporting this to DHEC?
Yeah, DHEC came,
So-
DHEC comes most of it.
So what do we do about it when it did it 3 days ago?
We'll clean it up.
You didn't clean it up?
I've got a third of the Darlington sewer down at the moment, and I've rated high priority over that.
So
All my
raw
whole
sewage
crew.
in the street is not priority?
Well, it's priority, but I don't have, we'll get that far. I mean, we'll clean it, but I can't, like I said, the whole crew's been in the woods for 3 days,
In the woods?
in the woods.
Oh,
I think raw sewage in the street is priority.
let me just say that, because you have identified that that area does not have the kinds of, facility or whatever that the other areas do have. I'm just gonna ask that you put it as a priority, because you know that they do not have, they can't function like the others, because they do not have it.
Allen Street's still on the
And
list.
it's really bad.
Yeah.
It's
I'll
really
agree.
bad over there. And I know it's not like that in others, even though you may have these breakdown. It's not as bad because this is the sewage on the street.
There's a couple.
I mean,
areas-
it's out.
There's a couple areas that's some hurt time.
So, and that's why we're saying.
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Okay.
I mean, like I say, we tried our best to convince them to let us do it, and they wouldn't.
Yeah. But I'm just saying to you, because you know that they're limited in this area as to the others, that
Well,
you
as
make it a
Ms. Bridget was
priority.
talking, and
to
we're
kinda deal with
working, we're
that
meeting now,
there.
we're gonna start chasing every dollar we can
That's
chase
not-
as far as grants, and that's definitely on the list, and we can go back to the CDBG again, and see if there's anything we
Ms. Privet can help us
Yeah.
find something.
And that's what we'd already discussed with her,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that whole area.
yeah.
Yeah, all the way down to the Allen
Discussing
Street
it,
lift
but
station,
like you
yeah.
said,
I think
this sewage still comes up when it rains, so.
All right, and do you, and just want to tell you, thank you too for the water department making that look good.
Well, that's, like I say, we don't know what's causing it, but sewer.
I'm talking about inside the
Oh, yeah,
building.
yeah,
Small
it does
things-
look-
Small
they
things
did-
that we can do,
The ladies did a good job up there.
Just want to tell you, thank you for that.
Bring it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Alex, real quick, if you just got a second. I want to tell you, thank you also for the work that you've been doing at the sanitation department for trying to remove the cars. If you could just kind of give us an update, I know you said you were, just kind of give everybody a quick update just on that part, about removing all the extra waste and all that you had down there, extra cars.
Okay. The street and sanitation department, when we started cleaning it up after I took over down there, we've hauled off, I think it's 8 cars. So far, we've hauled off 3 big trucks, that's dump trucks, old trash trucks. We've hauled off 6 loads of scrap steel that was down there. I don't know the exact tonnage. So far, we've received $3,200 in scrap price on the steel that we've taken to the steel mill. We still got 4 trucks that we're waiting to get hauled out. We had to put tires on them, and we're waiting on those to get hauled out. Once we get those, we've got a couple of vehicles that we put on Gov Deals. We've got, or not Gov Deals, what is it? Gov World or whatever. They're going to be auctioned off in the next few months. And then once we get that taken care of, then I'm going to start working on some of those old sheds that's back there, getting all that stuff down and getting it cleaned up. We've cleaned up inside the building. I mean, we've done a tremendous amount of work down there in the last month trying to get it cleaned up.
Just want to tell you, thank you, we noticed it, appreciate that.
when it rains like it's been raining December and January, early February, there's not a whole lot you can do to control it. I've seen our back truck out and about trying to take care of some drains. Have you been able to develop sort of a system where you are routinely going around and cleaning out, or are you still dealing with emergencies right now?
We're still trying to clean it from 50 years of neglect.
I know.
We had, this week, end of last week, we went to, over Lemon Street, working that side of town. Now I did pull them off today to go to, Spring Street, Greenway Drive, and we had to get the state out there to give us some assistance on, getting some of those manholes opened up, because they were their manholes, and they had lids on that we couldn't get off. We had to get the backhoe over there, but we got their assistance, and we've cleaned up that area, or I say cleaned up that area, we've cleaned those storm drains out, so we're going back to the Lemon Street area, and we're gonna work that area some more, Lemon Street, Farm Street, Reed Street. We've worked Allen Street, from one end to the other. We've gone over on Magnolia Street, worked that. Problem we had in Magnolia is we've got a collapse up under the old tennis court, so we're gonna have to address that. And once we get that, then I believe we'll be able to get that flowing again. I mean, we're out every day. Now, since we've had so much rain, we've been having to spend probably 2 days a week helping water and sewer, pumping off lift stations. So when we're not helping them, we're working on storm drains in the city. So but we're working 40+ hours a week trying to get it cleaned up.
Are you finding that most
50,
of it is?
50 years of neglect that you can't do it overnight.
Are you finding that most of it is like a lot of that trash that?
Yeah, we got that. We got some blockages. We've got some roots in the lines, and with the warthog head that we've got, it'll cut out a lot of them. But we're gonna have to put the root cutter in there to take out some of the other ones. The problem we have is a lot of our old drain system, or stormwater drain system, is terracotta pipe. So I'm afraid that when we put that root cutter in there, we're gonna disintegrate some of that pipe. So we've got to look at how we're gonna address that as well.
So don't we have a camera system to see what's going on?
We do have a camera system. The camera system that we have, we really need a different tractor for it. Camera system that we have, the tractor that we have is primarily, from what I can gather, designed for sewer, and it's not real effective in stormwater pipes. But the tractor we need is $25,000, so we got to figure out what we're going to do. Eventually, we're going to have to do something about getting it, or we've got a camera that we're not going to be able to use a whole lot. So that's just something we're going to have to look at in the future.
So basically, you're saying we bought the wrong camera?
The camera's fine. The camera will work on the tractor that we need. We need a different tractor. We need a tractor that gets the stuff out of the water. The tractor we have is a low tractor, and most of those lines, when we go in them, they got water in them. So all you're doing is looking in water. You can't really see what you got. So.
Alex, did we ever figure out what the situation was there in front of Ms. Harkless, in front of the mill? You know, where the 3 lines came together and y'all would...
On Washington Street?
Yeah, Washington Street.
Howard may be able to give you a little bit more information on that. I know we had Urban Engineering, wasn't it Urban that was looking at it? And we were trying to get something figured out. We really need the state's help on that, because a lot of that's state responsibility. But state they don't want to, do their part. They want to put everything off on the city. But hopefully we're going to, be able to make some contacts and maybe try to get them involved a little bit more to try to help the city out, to help us with some of the bigger projects.
I was just amazed when I looked in that deep hole at the masonry work. It is, now that's all intact, but the lines are not, the pipes and stuff is not, but the masonry work, that was there's a lot of history there that we might need.
We'll try to get in touch with the state. Maybe we can get the state on board to help us. Because this is going to be an expensive project for the city to take on, so we need the state to at least take their part of the responsibility and help us out with it.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
We'll say the best one for last, Lee. Here we go. You had asked for money last time.
Well, I'm asking for all kinds of money all the time.
You had asked for around $100 and something thousand.
We asked for $112,000 for, heat and air units, and you told us to go back for a bid. I had some different contractors come in and give bids. Alan Guffey, Guffey's Heat and Air, actually come in and he said, Lee, I can fix these, you ain't gotta change them out. So, long story short, he saved us about $100,000. A lot over $100,000. What was it?
$1,900.
$1,900 is fixed. So we're gonna take a look at, we're gonna take a look at doing a service contract to make sure that they do run properly from here on out. And, we'll be doing that shortly. Just to make sure, one unit, and I've had a bunch of, and this was done before I even became recreation director in Darlington. One unit had never turned on as far as heat because the thermostat was wired wrong. That was the first person that had found that, so.
So to answer your question, Mr. Seegers, as you asked earlier, it does pay to make sure that you get worthy people that will not lie to you.
Absolutely. I would like to touch on some other things while I'm up here. Bowen Manor's Park is finished, and they are playing on it a lot. The only thing is, it's not quite finished. We got to put some fencing up, and we got to put some the signage up that we have in all the other parks. But as far as it being used, it's being used every day. If you don't believe me, go by there and see it. They're having a ball. We've been working at Bowen Manor, getting the field ready for ball this year. For the middle schools going to play home games there. And we've been redoing the concession stand building out there. So that's redoing the stand itself and bringing the bathrooms back up to where they need to be because we didn't use it at all last year. Hammond Street Park, we got a crush and run down on the parking lot side. We haven't been able to get it finished yet. With the weather the way it is, it's just haven't been able to get crush and run. We're gonna need at least probably 2 more loads of crush and run there to get that parking lot ready. I talked with the contractor that did the build on the playground equipment, and we're gonna look at moving the dog park out of there and maybe moving it out to Bowen Manor to give us more room to run, for the dogs to run there, and also give us more room in Hampton Street to add another piece or two if we so say we do. Also this past month, I was privileged and it was a good time, and I want to thank Missy Lane, Mayor Boyd, my friend Miss Gloria Hines, ex-mayor, for the park on Southern Pines, Terrence Caraway Memorial Park. We finally got it dedicated this past week or this past month, and they were out there. There was 25 guys out there today playing basketball. So it's being used. It's being used. We just look forward to doing more things. We got mirrors. Got mirrors at both places. Miss Patsy was tickled to death. She's been doing, 45, 50 years she's been teaching. And I don't think she's aged a day. And she's still teaching. She was sick a little bit last week, and I talked to her, and she said she would try to get here, but dance classes today. So she's still a peasant.
And then Manheim Auto Auction today volunteered to help with the trees and clean up around the park and any other areas that you have. Please let me know. Manheim Auto Auction, I met with 8 of those employees today, and the general manager on board, helping us any kind of way we can get volunteer work if there's something that you need. Area you need cleaned up, please let me know, and we'll jump right off.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, but I just do want to thank you for getting my project done. For getting Bowens Manor done, because I started that project in November. And bought the equipment and bought the idea of the council to do Bowens Manor, and I want to thank you for getting the project done.
Well,
it looks good over there.
It is a very good piece of equipment for what we paid for it. Mm-hmm. We stole that piece of equipment for what we paid for it. And it was needed. You know, there was some question about that at some points in time, but it was needed. And, you know, we've had a good outpouring from the community as far as that part goes. PD Electric has helped us out with it. Look, the Housing Authority, Jamie pledged to buy the mulch that was put in it. And even the Darlington Chamber, Harriet, she's gonna make the first payment on it for everything. So, community really come together on that park after it all was said and done. And I think, you know, we're gonna play adult men's softball out there. We're gonna play the older guys baseball out there. So it's gonna be used a lot more. So,
Thank you.
And I sure thank you for, oh goodness, that big area. I'm getting so many people just thanking us about the kids.
we're
and
not
what
quite
they're
through
doing.
there, but
And I told Sheila, y'all, you and Brian, you know, y'all got all that big equipment, but and playground stuff. So whenever we get another someone that want to donate, you put it at Terrence.
we gonna put stuff everywhere. We're gonna put stuff everywhere.
But let me tell you very much, just so pleased about the work and everything that y'all put in there.
Well, thank
You
you.
know, I joke a lot, but I'm happy.
We went from when I first got here having the one little park over here at the tennis courts to now we've got 3 big parks and a little park at the
Look at
tennis
that.
court.
That's
So
what I'm talking about.
it's growing. So thank y'all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. Any council comments?
I'd like to make just one. Okay, I was not aware, thank you, Ms Latham, for coming up, and Gwen, thank you so much for you all coming, I appreciate it so much. But I wasn't aware about any of the comments on Facebook, but I'd like to say as Councilman John here has said that, you know, we made that about personal attacks. I didn't see this as an attack, you know, I see it as a request. And I want what we said, the policy that we put in about personal attacks, not to be limited to council meeting. For as representatives, as our elected officials, let's try to carry that, the same conduct that we want in here, that we also exhibit that outside of here. And that's what I would like to say about that. I don't know, I mean, I tried to, when we did that before, it was in an effort to to bring our community together and our cities and things together. So whatever we require in here of each other, I would like to say that we extend it outside and try not to do personal attacks to anyone. That's all, and you know, I just wonder where I'm not on Facebook and things, so I wasn't aware of anything that was going on. So when it's brought to here, I'm just kind of a little surprised, and I just really want us to make that real effort to understand each other, come together, and truly work together. That's what I'm trying. That's what I like to do, and we cannot do it if we're being negatively talking about each other.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Mr. Garland, I assume there's something we need to do with the state ethics.
Yes, sir. Now, you've got until the end of March to do that. Reminded you last month about it, but we thought putting something in there with instructions would be helpful. Wanted to say something for the record about Georgia Pacific, because I think it's important enough that we need to put it on the record. Recently, Georgia Pacific announced a $145 million expansion of their plate and bowl plant, which is at the corner of D Avenue and Old Farms Highway in the city of Darlington. It's by far the largest single investment ever in the history of the city of Darlington. And while we're losing the cup plant and the distribution warehouse for the cup plant, we're also getting an expansion of the plate and bowl plant and an expansion of their large warehouse. This is an investment in the future of the city of Darlington, and it's going to ensure that we have a plate plant here through most of the 21st century. We're really excited about it. It's also going to be a great windfall for the city of Darlington in the form of business licenses and also impact fees. We're looking at anywhere from $600 to $1 million just in the next few years before this is completed. Also, we're working on what the property taxes are going to look like, and so that's going to be another windfall for the city between 2022 and 2038. We're super excited about Georgia Pacific and the work that we've had on this Project Peach, which we can openly talk about now. I'd like to thank some of the folks from Georgia Pacific, their plant manager, who's great to get along with, Abraham Atkins. Also Jeff Gottke, who's been one of their lead engineers in the project. Rachel Ryan has been great to work with. And locally, we've had the support of the Darlington County Economic Development Office, Mr. Frank Willis.
Yeah.
Also, Lisa Rock has been heavily involved in this development project since we started it in November 2018. Also want to thank State Senator Gerald Malloy and Representative Robert Williams for their part of this. And we're working on a plan now to direct all truck traffic from D Avenue to Old Florence Highway.
All right.
And we're hoping it's going to be completed by the end of 2022. From everything Georgia Pacific has told us, they hope this project's going to be in and actually up and going by the start of 2023. So big things are ahead for the city of Darlington. We're so excited that Georgia Pacific is making an investment, and they're also promising to be a better community partner in our community.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, do I have a motion that we adjourn?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
And I second that.